Viewer voice messages, ladies and gentlemen. Today we're going to be going through speakpipe.com. If you want to hear your voice message heard on the channel, go in the link in the description, submit a question, or if you don't want to have your voice heard, understandable, just post a comment or a question, and I compile those as well and answer those. So we're going to skip around a little bit. We've got a few of these, like 5-6 parters, so we're going to skip around just to make sure everyone has their voice heard evenly. Okay, so we're going to start with the most recent, Austin Jacobs.
Hey, James. This is probably my last question of the week. I want to ask you. You know, with Clyde coming in, I really started thinking about it. Like, this before I'm going to work, thinking about it, crossed my mind. What if them bringing in Clyde, not just as an insurance policy, but could it be taken as a way for Kendre Miller to step up, say, hey, we got a guy that may come in and compete. Granted, Clyde has not been good the past how many seasons since his rookie year. I get that, but maybe could this be taken as a sign for him? Hey, you need to step up and start, improving and doing your job better.
No, I mean, I don't think so. I mean, in a way, I guess, like, inherently any signing or anything like that is competition, but like, I don't think bringing in Clyde Edward-Helaire is going to all of a sudden make Kendre Miller step up. I mean, like, it's the same as Jordan Mims, it's the same as Jamal Williams, it's the same as Taysom Hill. Like, he should have already inherently been feeling competition. I remember Sean Payton famously used to bring in kickers and punters every single week to keep his kickers and punters competing and then never feeling too safe. But no, I don't think this move had anything to do with getting Kendre to play harder or play better.
Obviously, last game against Washington, he looked good. He showed flashes, a lot more flashes than normal. Could this help boost his morale and get him competitively and help him grow as a running back?
It's definitely not going to boost his morale. I mean, if you bring someone in to compete, if you bring someone in to, like, basically say, hey, look, if you don't step up, this guy will take your job. Like, I would think that's going to hurt morale, if anything.
And get better, because obviously he can't pass block. That's why we have Jamal Williams. It's clear as day on that. Like, do you think it's a possibility to help him, help motivate Kendre to get better? Because obviously we know Clyde may be a fucking 1 week thing and be gone the next because of Alvin Kamara. Who knows? He may be a day-to-day thing. You know how the NFL goes. When you have Alvin Kamara, if he's healthy to go, you're not going to bench him for Clyde.
No.
If anybody considers that, they shouldn't be in the NFL. Like,
I don't think anybody's considering that.
If Alvin Kamara go, you're going with Kamara.
Yes. There you go. All right, let's move around a little bit. Ronnie Rubio. What a cool name.
What up, James? So I'm sad, but I'm kind of encouraged at the loss to the Commanders.
Speaking of Rubio, I thought Ricky Rubio was going to take over the NBA. I thought Ricky Rubio was going to be a multi-time All-Star, multi-time MVP. I was all in on Ricky Rubio.
But I think the most frustrating part looking at the Saints offense is just a lack of tight end reliability. You have Juwan Johnson that's supposed to be a designated pass catcher he drops a lot of passes. And then you have Foster Monroe, who's primarily there for blocking, but he makes up for his lack of blocking with pass catching occasionally.
I mean, Foster's a pretty finesse tight end. Like, Foster is not George Kittle. He's not a guy who's he's not a glorified offensive lineman. I think Foster has been really good this season. I think he's been one of our more underrated players. I think the tight ends have been pretty good. I mean, Juwan's been kind of whatever, but I think when they're starting, I mean, again, like, I would consider them like tier 3 C level tight ends. And I think they have played mostly as tier 3 level tight ends, but occasionally they have been more than that. So I think Foster specifically has had a really good year.
I mean, they're both solid, but I don't hate them, but they're not really good. And if you kind of look at any Shanahan offense minus the Rams, they all have elite tight ends, or at least really good above average tight ends.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at mean, it depends on how you. I mean, I know recency bias, but if you look around the league and you're looking at the Rams, the Dolphins, the Vikings, they really kind of don't, right? Like, good teams have good tight ends. Like, I think that was shown last year. You look at the final 4 teams, all had elite level tight ends. But, I mean, I think, it's one of those things where I think when you have players like the Saints do that are relatively average, to expect them to be anything more than average is a little bit unfair to the player. Like we know Foster and Juwan aren't elite level tight ends, and they weren't brought in here to be elite level tight ends, and they're kind of, so to say like, well, we need them to be that. Well, if you want an elite level tight end, you should have drafted Brock Bowers, right? So,
And also getting a tight end alleviates a lot of pressure, a lot of coverage from Chris Olave. Like, I'm reading off a list of people that have more productive years than Chris Olave. Jerry Jeudy, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Drake London, Jordan Addison. These guys, Nico Collins, Zay Flowers, like, dude, these guys are not better than Chris Olave.
I mean, Nico Collins is like a top level wide receiver. And I don't know. I'm guessing those are from this year, but I mean, Chris Olave has missed a ton of games, so Chris Olave is going to be pretty low on that list as far as production. Like, Jordan Addison is not better than Chris Olave, but this year he's certainly been better since Olave hasn't played.
Convince me otherwise. Like, I'd feel better about myself. But I think these guys are like the only one that you could say that doesn't benefit off a tight end is maybe Jackson Smith-Njigba, but you have DK Metcalf. I think bringing over a tight end gives you a productive Chris Olave. I don't see why he can't be a top 10, top 5 fantasy wide receiver, right? But yeah, man, I think a tight end solves a lot of problems.
I'm always pro tight end, no doubt about that. I'm always pro tight end. I'm always, I would always rather have a good tight end than not. I think tight ends in today's NFL, like, tight ends are just it's such a mismatch. You get a good one, it does so much for your offense. So yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think a good tight end would obviously be a boost.
All right, man. Face of the franchise. I think a really good question to ask you is why are Saints fans just so good at everything, man? I mean, for real. In my fantasy league, every single Saints fan made the playoffs and or is in the Final Four. My little brother, who is also a Saints fan, is captain of his football team. I have a multi-million-dollar business, but I just haven't received $1 million or have started the business yet. And I'm pretty sure, dude, every time you post a video, ESPN, Fox, I mean, they get scared. Like, I'm pretty sure every time you post a video, Stephen A. Smith's hairline just goes back even more.
Might
So
be the comment of the day right here.
it's a very good question, I think. Why are Saints fans, why are we just so good at everything?
Well, I mean, first of all, very true. Fantastic question. Good luck on your multi-million-dollar business. Let me know. I would love to be an angel investor. I do. There is something about. I think there is something about the area. I think there is something about whether it's you're living in Louisiana or Mississippi or Alabama or anywhere close, and you're a Saints fan. I do think that's why the best storytellers are from this region. The best imagination is from this region. I think it was Colin Cowherd who said, like, you can't be a great comedian. You can't truly be a great comedian if you're born and raised in Los Angeles. Like, you have to have some kind of experience. You have to have something there. I think this region creates that. I think this region creates a lot of, like, you have to build skills, build talents, persevere, be imaginative, be able to tell a story, communicate, a lot of life, problem solving and whatnot. And also, you're passionate about football, and football is the most important thing in the world. So that would definitely lend itself to being good at fantasy football. All right, let's go to Sean a Saint. I believe this is a new caller. I don't think I've seen Sean a Saint on here.
Listen, James, message channel, man.
Man, respect. My man came in straight up, said, listen. All right, you got my attention.
Los Angeles in the building.
Wow. Okay. Hey, listen, when I previously mentioned Los Angeles, like, it's nothing against LA. Okay. Just that was Colin Cowherd saying that, not me.
Look, I need to know if I'm tripping or not, bro. And
right.
what you think about this.
Okay.
I know Mickey, he's more than a GM.
Yeah.
But
basically a part
we've
owner.
all heard about how Mickey went into the locker room and basically threatened the locker room into getting behind DA or else. I need to know if I'm tripping or not, but if any other GM in this league did that, and the coach, that same coach ends up getting fired less than a year later, that GM will be out the building with the head coach.
I believe when Mickey went in and talked to the locker room, I believe he was basically saying, you have to buy into the New Orleans Saints. If you aren't bought into this team, if you're in business for yourself, or you're acting up, or you're pouting or crying or whatever, then GTFO. And to that, I agree. Like, I could not stand last year hearing reports every single week about how players are quitting, or players aren't playing hard, or players aren't doing this because of Dennis Allen. It's like, guys, I understand, but you are a millionaire being asked to play a child's game. Buckle up, buttercup, chin up, like, play the game. There are 70,000 people in the stands who have paid money, who have taken time out of their day to come watch you play a child's game, a schoolyard game. So if you're not going to be bought in because you don't like the boss man, grow up. Bottom line. So when Mickey went in there and did that, I didn't have a problem with it. And I don't know if you've watched, speaking of Los Angeles, I don't know if you watched Winning Time that talked about the Showtime Lakers, but in a scene in that show, Pat Riley, who was, I guess, the GM, president of operations at the time, went into the locker room, addressed the team, scolded the team, benched one player, fired the coach, and named himself the head coach. And people love Pat Riley. So sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but I have no problem with Mickey doing that.
Like, I know I'm not tripping, right? And I know this is pointless because I know Mickey is more than a GM. He's got so much power, and he's more than a GM. But there's got to be some way we can get this guy to step down or just stop being a general manager, bro. He needs to be gone. If any other GM did that, they'd be fired, bro. I don't know if I'm not tripping. What do you think?
I am in the minority here, but I really don't think Mickey Loomis is that big of a problem because, okay, think about it like this. All right, Mickey has delivered a Super Bowl. He delivered Sean Payton, Drew Brees. Okay, you can say that was lucky, whatever. He delivered the two best draft classes in franchise history, two of the best draft classes in NFL history in consecutive years. All right, in 2016, 2017, not that long ago. After Sean Payton and Drew Brees left within 12 months of each other, Mickey, with virtually nothing on the roster as far as quarterback, navigated the team to a positive stretch of wins. So we go 7 wins, 9 wins. Brings in Carr. Say what you want about that, but he's trying to win. A rash of injuries. All right. So this year, I mean, this year you can't say, oh, well, Mickey, look at the roster we have right now. It's like, yeah, I mean, Mickey didn't plan on all these injuries, right? Then you could also say, well, Mickey sucks. But then you look at this draft class, and it's like, well, damn, Spencer Rattler is kind of sweet. Talise Fuaga is pretty sweet. William McKinstry's kind of sweet. It's like, damn, Mickey had another good draft class. So I understand the frustration with the Saints, but I don't understand what, like, this whole get Mickey out of there would I don't understand what that would solve. If you don't like Mickey as far as like his interviews or the gum smacking or whatever, but I don't think he has failed as a GM to the level that I guess some people think he has. I mean, I'm not saying that he's the greatest GM in the world, but I don't think like he is problem number one. I think he's done enough, especially done enough recently. I mean, 2016, 2017, like I said, boosting. I mean, with Dennis Allen and Andy Dalton and those kind of players, you're still competitive. Then all of a sudden you win 9 games. I mean, even recently, post Breeze and Payton, I don't think it's been that bad. Like, I mean, it could be worse. Like, it could be the Patriots, right? So, but I understand it, but I think Mickey gets a little bit of, I don't want to say undeserved hate, but I think people do kind of point at Mickey more than they probably should. All right, let's go to, man, we got a lot in there. Let's go to Dustin.
What's up, bro?
What's up, brother?
I hope the holidays are treating you well.
We're just
My
getting
question to you is, seeing that Alvin Kamara will hit 1,000 yards this season, possibly during one of our worst seasons.
So this is from 4 days ago. Word on the street now is that Kamara might be out for the season, which means he'd be 50 yards short from 1,000 yards, which, sucks.
What does that say about us? What does that say about him?
It says that Clint Kubiak has done exactly what we thought he was going to do, which is bolster the run game. We knew that he was going to come in and, we made a million videos on this about how the main thing that he would do is fix the run, fix the offense, or the running offense, and he would get something out of the running game. And that's exactly what he's done. And Alvin is which again, we made millions of videos on this. Alvin is the perfect back for Kubiak's system. And it was a match made in heaven. Alvin Kamara right there with what he can do compared to Christian McCaffrey. So it was very simple to see how he was going to benefit in this offense. And he has. And that's with a pretty weak offensive line, all things considered. So, yeah, I mean, and that's one of those things, too, where, when people are like, Clint Kubiak should be fired, and then you look at the rushing attack and say, man, I mean, this is a pretty obvious boost. It's pretty obvious, something he's got his direct fingerprints on. You can see how much better it is than it was last year.
To get his first ever, despite all the best seasons he's had, during a worst possible season that we've ever had, he gets his first 1,000-yard rushing season. Kudos to AK. I mean, we love AK.
Yeah, he's the man.
But what does that really say? Appreciate you.
Appreciate
and I'm
you.
curious. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, brother. I mean, at the end of the day, what it says the most is that Kubiak is working, that the system is working for Alvin and for the running game, and that's something. People are like, "What's something positive from this year?" That is something that's been positive. CJ, let's go back to back with CJ.
Hey, James, I just want your opinion, from
Absolutely.
the face of the franchise himself.
No doubt.
Do you think that even if Kubiak and Rizzy lose out, or only win one more game, whatever that,
all right,
1 or 2 more games, whatever the case may be?
This is from 3 days ago. So we have 3 games remaining. All right. So we have Packers Monday night. We've got Raiders in the Dome. Last home game. Sad day. Then we have the Bucs on the road. So 3 games left.
Do you think they showed enough to be retained? And, I'm asking it because the Saints organization has shown that they are a type of organization to give people chances. And they're not just one of those organizations that's just 1 year and done, fired. Because personally, in my opinion, I think Kubiak and Rizzy has showed enough, especially Rizzy. But with that being said, do you think there's still a potential, since the organization, again, they're not people to just write off, the coaches quickly? I don't know. I'm not too against it. I guess if they do continue on, what would be the next step? Would be, will we continue on the car for 1 more year or so? What would be, I guess, the initial step? So again, I just want your opinion on that. Personally, I think they should continue, but obviously, if it doesn't work out for the organization financially or whatever the case might be, then shit happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now, we have 3 games left. So if we lose to the Raiders, then this could all, go away. If we lose by 50 to the Packers, this could all go away. But I think right now, you would say, yeah, they have done enough. I think right now you would say, I think the appropriate way to do this is you open up the search, you open up the interviews, you do a true search, you really go look for, see who's interested. there's nothing that benefits you in just straight up saying, all right, season's over, Rizzy's got the job. Like, see what other people have to offer. See if Rabel is interested. See if Ben Johnson's interested. See if Joe Brady's interested. What does it hurt, right? Like, it doesn't hurt anything to do that. So I would do that, but I would go into that with Rizzy being the front runner. And I think, the Commanders game, like we were talking about, that game came down to a 2-point conversion. The difference between Rizzy being 4-1 with a win over the Commanders is a 2-yard play. So is the result that important, or is it kind of like the journey to get there, to be in that position? I don't want to give him a win that he didn't get. I don't want to say, well, it's not 3.5 and 1, but I think he has shown a lot, and I would have no problem at all saying that he's the front runner right now.
Hey, James, I just thought of a good conversation, just with the recent 2-point conversion fail during the Saints game.
Yeah.
And, with that being said, it just makes it's crazy to think that people are still stuck on the old NFL.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking. It really is.
I just mean like fans, the NFL itself, but then also commentators and these people that be running these podcasts like the Colin Cowherds of the world. And, these people are just in these old times. And I just don't get why people are stuck on the whole, oh, yeah, take the points you get, punt the football, pin the back, defense wins games. Yep, that's how it's going to work. It's like, no, that's not how that works now. Like, the Lions, Dan Campbell is the best example of why that shit doesn't work. They have such a high percentage rate on getting those 2-point conversions because they understand the game. Dan Campbell understands this new age of football. So it's like, if we're seeing that, it's like, why are they not on it? And it's crazy because NFL has these technologies of heated fields and all these other different things, but they can't get a simple dude from Yale or PFF or somebody that runs analytics and understands to be like, hey, if the Lions take the 2-point conversion, they have an 80% chance of doing this, or if they kick it, they have a whatever percent chance of losing. Whatever the case might be, I just don't get why they don't have that, or technology to spot the ball. Like, all these different things. I just won't understand why the NFL is moving so slow to that point.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I've said a lot of that same stuff. I could not agree more. I don't understand why you have a coach on the sideline that's job is to hold back the head coach. And we've all seen the guy who pulls back Sean McVay. Why do you have that guy on staff, but you don't have 4 MIT probability experts? Why don't you have? And I don't know. I mean, I think part of it is I don't want to say the good old boys, but you know how coaches like Mike McCarthy and Doug Peterson. Well, Peterson's a bad example, but Ron Rivera for a long time, and these coaches from that era were just kind of getting job after job and kind of passed around. The new wave of coaches like Kevin O'Connell, even Dan Campbell, Sean McVay, those guys do go for it. They do understand the timeouts. They do understand the 2-point conversions. It's usually the old school guys, and that bleeds into the commentators. I've said this before, but CBS's NFL pregame for a long time, when it was Bill Cowher and Phil Simms, and it was man, these guys are. I understand they were legends of the game, but these guys have been out of this game for 30 years. The game has changed dramatically. The NFL. I mean, the forward pass is obviously the biggest shift in NFL history, but we're pretty close right now to how the game is played, how the game is understood. So when you have commentators and play-by-play guys and color guys and whatever that are from 30, 40 years ago, I'm not surprised that they don't understand the situational aspects, and I'm not surprised that they don't understand some of the intricacies and as far as fans, I think fans, I think there's a breakdown. So when I try and explain I don't want to say analytics because that's a super overplayed way to talk about this, but when I explain the probability in a numerical sense of a 2-point conversion, and we break it down to something really simple, okay, option A, you have a 55% chance. Option B, you have a 50% chance. They usually their rebuttal is like, yeah, but you got the momentum, or yeah, but this guy's got the juice, or yeah, but this guy's, it's all this like unquantifiable stuff. And I think people still look at the game like that, and they believe in stuff that is almost just kind of like, it's like fairy dust. Like, it doesn't exist. It's fugazi. Like I said, like, well, you're not factoring in that this guy's got the juice. So it's like, yeah, I forgot to factor in that he's got the juice. That you are correct. I did not, I didn't factor in his mojo level. I didn't factor in the Riz. I didn't, like, all that kind of stuff you hear where it's like, well, you got to do this because blank player is a winner. Blank player is clutch. So you got to do this. Like, okay, well, how do like, what does that even mean? So yeah, I think there's a little bit of that too when it comes to these decisions. And people are just risk averse. Like, people just don't like risk, and they don't like the fact that you can lose on the spot, or they would much rather extend the game. They would much rather just, it's very scary. Like, one of the videos we reacted to, like, Matt Moscona said, if it's a Super Bowl, you kick the extra point. And it's like, that should have nothing to do with it. Whether you are in the preseason, the regular season, or the Super Bowl, the decision is the decision. And I understand, like, it's scary, but the numbers are the numbers. Like, they just are what they are sometimes. And the idea of, like, okay, well, I'm going to make this decision even though it is a couple ticks higher, even though the percentage is a little bit higher, we could also lose on the spot. Like, that enough is to sway people away from some of these decisions. All right, good stuff. Very nice. Let's go to Austin Jacobs do it for a 2-pack.
Hey, James. My question is, honestly, because looking at the last couple games, I kind of hit it on from the past one. Like, if the Saints beat Green Bay, kind of like Washington, how they lost to Washington, but they keep it close but look really good, would you, as a GM, be like, you know what? He could have won Washington. That game should have went our way in some aspects. Mathematically, the Saints, if we would have started Jake Haener, mathematically, from the plays he made, we could have. There's a good chance we could have went in and won that game. With it, if he beats Green Bay this coming week on Monday night, the same way, but with Rattler starting, and let's say we win by a touchdown or two. Or make a touchdown and a field goal. Nothing. It's just nothing. Blowing out. Nothing close game. But we win it, and the offense and defense still showed in some improvements on each side. But you start seeing still plays. Would that as a GM give you sight to say, give you the mentality to say, you know what, Dan Rizzy, yeah, he lost a couple of games, but against these big teams, these good teams, he has looked good these past couple of weeks. Why not we run this back next year, go in the draft, do what we got to do, hit them picks like we need to? Would that give him a shot, or does he have to literally win every single fucking game, or at least majority?
No, I mean, I think if he plays, if the exact same thing happens, like we lose on the last play of the game to Green Bay, I think that's enough to, like I said earlier, you go into the offseason with Rizzy as your front runner. Now, it does not, there is no benefit to planting your flag and saying Darren Rizzy is our guy before you do the interviews. So I don't care if he wins out. If he wins out, I would still do the interviews. I would probably end up hiring Rizzy or extending Rizzy, but you still go through your process. So yes, a close loss or a win with the roster we have in the situation we have, that would be insane. And that would be a huge bonus to Rizzy's, to Rizzy being the head coach.
Hey, James, this question's kind of oddball. I've been thinking about this past couple of days. Just trying to think. I've just been thinking about things. The Saints, the organization.
Christmas, yeah.
If Sean Payton would have just came back to the Saints, and Dennis Allen just walked away and they just got rid of him, do you think the Saints would have a faster turnaround like he did in Denver, or because of the age of the roster and salary cap issues, will still be in the same boat, losing, possibly only winning no more than 7-8 games? Like, I've been very curious about this year. It started creeping up on me towards the back end of the season. But like seeing what Sean Payton did in Denver, like they didn't like obviously they had talent there. You know, you had Patrick Tan, guys like him, and you had Russ. But when you see him with Bo Nix now starting, it kind of gets me wondering, what if he stayed with the Saints and the Saints somehow moved up and got Bo Nix? Would that be, something like? Do you think Sean Payton could have easily turned this team around with the past draft if he would have stayed, or just came back in general? Think the Saints would look a lot different?
Yeah, I mean, I think Sean Payton is an incredible coach, especially offensively. Well, exclusively offensively, and we definitely would have been better. But he's not infallible to losing. I mean, he went 7-9 3 straight years with prime peak Drew Brees. So it would be easy to say, yeah, well, if we had Sean Payton, we'd be really good. We win 10 games every year. We go to the playoffs, no doubt about it. But Sean is one of those guys where even at the peak of his powers, like, he is lost. And when you think about, like, imagine going 7-9, like, Dennis Allen didn't do that. Like, we didn't even do that in this stretch. Like, a caller earlier said this is the worst season that the Saints could possibly have. And this, like, last couple of years, Saints fans have been absolutely depressed, right? Well, imagine having Drew Brees, prime Drew Brees, and imagine going 7-9 3 straight years. Which obviously you can't go 7-9 now, but imagine going 7-10 3 straight years. That is shocking. You know, it's one thing to lose games. I mean, we could win 7 games this year, and we've got Jake Haener and Spencer Rattler and Kendre Miller and Connor McGovern and, traded Marshawn Lattimore. Like, so the fact that you can do that with Sean Payton and Drew Brees shows you how hard it is to win in this league. If Sean would have stayed, I doubt we would have signed Carr. Sean might have tried to make the Taysom thing work. I don't know. Maybe he would try to make Jameis work. But I would be more comfortable if we had Sean Payton, because I think Sean Payton is one of the best coaches in the league. But I don't think it would have guaranteed success over the last couple of seasons. All right, let's go to Anonymous. Let's do Anonymous.
Hey, James, this is your boy Chris again, the man, the myth, the legend, the New Orleans Saints
the
media
number one
Hall of Famer.
That should be in the Hall of Fame.
Champion of this New Orleans media.
Yes.
And I forgot to talk about the Giants game. I just realized it, and it was so slow. Like, I thought at the beginning, this is going to be a obliteration. Like, we're throwing it deep downfield, and like, it was cool that Brian Brzee blocked the field goal at the end. That was cool. I mean, that was athletic as hell. Like, I don't know how he did it, but yeah, like, overall, like, that game was just so slow. Like, I was worried, but we pulled it out. I don't know what it is with special teamers having trouble with Rizzy since he's been coached. Like, I don't understand that. Like, it's like we have some magic or some, like, kickers are missing like crazy. Like, it's just ridiculous. Like, I'm happy, but it's like, wow, what changed? But yeah, Rizzy and Campbell are the same coach, in my opinion. Like, Dan Campbell's, like, he shows more passion, I guess. Like, Campbell's more successful, but Rizzy, I guess you can...
Don't forget, Campbell's successful now. Campbell was awful his first couple of years. Like, Campbell, you're winning 3-4 games. So he is successful now, but it didn't always start like that.
Hear him to, like, the team...
I mean, we had a comment where we had a stat before Dennis Allen got fired. Dennis Allen had a better, whatever it was, 2.5 years than Dan Campbell's first 2.5 years. So people were calling for Allen to be fired. I'm not saying Allen would have turned it around, but if they would have fired Dan Campbell in 2.5 years with a worse start than Dennis Allen, who knows where Detroit would be.
To Dan Campbell or the Wish.com Dan Campbell, like, he's good. I mean, but this Saints team overall, like, this is a wasted year. Like, this year's over. Like, let's move on to next year and let's start doing the mock drafts and wonder who we're going to get as free agents next year.
Mathematically still alive. Mathematically can still make the playoffs. All right, let's go to Trell.
Now we know Haener is not him. Rattler is the better player. You build around him. Get him some new wide receivers. Get him a new line. He can make things happen. Also need a new defense. Also, still got to fire Mickey.
Wasn't even a question. Just a straight up, there it is. Okay. Boom. Talked about Mickey a little earlier. Yeah, I mean, I think you just got to draft, whether it's Rattler or Carr or Joe Montana or whatever. You need wide receivers. You need a better roster. You need to improve a certain position. So, regardless of who will be the quarterback, I think your draft / free agents strategy should probably be the same. All right, let's do a 2-pack of Elijah. Let's do Austin and then Elijah.
Hey, James, it's Austin. I'm a fan of your show, man. After this Washington game, you know they lost. Man, what's your take on Rattler now? Like, granted, he had his bad moments, but man, the way he looked that last drive, just in general, man, with the talent they have, honestly, man, I'd really rather see him start the rest of the season, instead of Jake Haener. Like, if Derek Carr comes back, cool, start him, I guess. But man, would after this game, would you think that the future is somewhat looking good for Rattler? And if so, what do you think the chances of what we'll see coming next? Like, if he starts next game and the following game afterwards, I say he starts the rest of the season and Carr doesn't come back, what do you think we're going to keep seeing growth or see flashes of a lot of mistakes?
I think you'll see flashes. I mean, he's going to Green Bay, difficult situation. He's got to play the Bucs on the road, difficult situation. We saw how that went with the Bucs in the dome, but yeah, I mean, he's got a tough. I'm really slow to just say, okay, he's the future. All right, franchise quarterback. It's more of like, okay, this was good. On to the next one. Okay, this showed some stuff. There's something there. On to the next one, because we could go into Green Bay. He could be 6 for 27, and it could look awful. Like, a lot better quarterbacks have gone into Green Bay and looked worse, right? So take it a game at a time, but he definitely helped himself as far as the performance. He definitely made it to where, okay, now it's a thought of, do we stick with Rattler?
Hey, James. And what the Saints are looking at right now, would it be smart for the Saints to hold off on this draft of drafting a quarterback? Let's say, we'll see what Rattler's doing. Let's see what he does the rest of the season, because obviously with the game ending, the way it did, I'll be safe. It'd be probably a safe bet he starts unless Derek Carr comes back. Would it be better for the Saints to start, like, you know what, let's not draft quarterback this year at all. Stay away from Carson Beck. I would even trust him to be the 4th string if that's even possible.
I'm not a Carson Beck guy.
All I can see him doing is holding a water bottle. Would it be better for the Saints to draft, like in the first round, running back out Boise State, Ashton Jensen, to help make the offense creative, and get a guy maybe in the second round to help Trevor Penning, in case he doesn't pan out? Obviously, he showed a lot more growth, but not to the best of it, to what he should have been with a first-round pick spin on him. Or would you say, start looking at, defense, like another defensive end, cornerback to replace, help replace the hole that Lattimore had left, and other, especially a strong safety, because obviously Howden, we know how that is. He's not consistent enough, nor has really lived up to what he could have been. Like, would it be smart to hold off on a quarterback and maybe sign like a Joe Flacco this offseason to help push Rattler?
I think I think it's very dependent on what is going on in the draft, and I think you let it kind of play out and you do best player available. I think teams get in trouble when they go into drafts and they say, all right, no matter what, we're drafting blank position or blank player. Because let's say you go into this draft, you're like, all right, we're going to take a defensive end at 10th overall. But let's say there's a slide, and let's say Cam Ward slides, and Cam Ward is sitting there at 10. Do you take Cam Ward? Because that changes a lot, right? So I think you have to go into drafts with open eyes and open, just kind of like, okay, well, we can pivot here. We rank these players in this way. We're going to kind of land best player available. So if Brock Bowers slips, we'll take him. As far as like last year's draft. If Dallas Turner slips, we'll take him. If Jared Verse is there, we'll take him. If Talise Fuaga is there, we're taking him. So you got to kind of be able to pivot. That's what makes a good draft. So that's how I would go into it. I would be prepared. I would rank the players. I would grade them out. but I would be ready to pivot if a great player fell. And even though I necessarily wasn't planning on going that direction, that's how I would approach the draft. All right, let's do a good old fashioned Divine Eternity.
Okay, James, I have to start this off like this, man. I think you're wrong, man. I think Jake Haener is the future of this franchise. I think he's the next Drew Brees. No, I'm joking.
I had to look at the timestamp. I was like, is this before the game? Because I was pretty critical of the Jake Haener thing with some of the comments before the game, but this is okay. So I was like, man, this is going to age bad.
I'm joking, man. I think Jake Hayner's future is probably an extra in a State Farm commercial, man. And I have a question. I just want to get this out the way, though. I never was big on Jake Haener.
Yeah.
I'm glad the truth finally came out. I felt like, and this could be my opinion, but he was being pampered by Derek Carr and Dennis Allen. He went to Fresno State. He already had that sort of favoritism. And I felt the underdog energy when Rattler came in. But I'm glad this is put to bed. And anybody trying to argue that Rattler's not that much better than Haener, look, this is Spencer Rattler's first year. What's Jake Haener's excuse for being trash? So that's all I have on that. But
yeah, I mean, I don't want to harp on the Haener thing. We've covered it a lot. I don't want to, kick the guy when he's down. But it is risky business when a backup quarterback plays because you can get found out really, really quick. And there's like this Schrodinger's cat paradox or whatever, where until you know anything is possible kind of thing. So if Jake Haener never plays, you're still going to hear a lot of people say, well, he's undersized. Drew Brees was undersized. He's the next Drew Brees. Oh, he went to Fresno State. Derek Carr went to Fresno State. He's the next Derek Carr. Oh, Jake Haener looks good in preseason. He's the future. There's always that wonder. You're not going to have that wonder anymore. So I hate it for Haener because to watch someone collapse like that, it's brutal. But he just wasn't. I think sometimes it kind of goes back to what I said earlier about unquantifiable versus quantifiable. Like when you watch Jake Haener play in the preseason, you watch him play at all, you can tell physically he's just not there. Physically he has a ceiling, and whether it's his arm or his size or whatever, it's just not going to work. And I mean, even when you watch Brock Purdy throw the ball, he throws it different than Jake Haener. So that's how I kind of grade quarterbacks, or really just players. And that's why I'm very quick to say, okay, this guy doesn't have it. Because I watch one throw, and it's if he, I watch an out route or something. If he cannot throw the out route at the level of an elite quarterback, just physically, I don't mean reading this or whatever. I mean just the ball coming out of his hands, how it spins, how the velocity, where it's at, the target, the launch angle, all of that. That is a physical thing that's probably not going to change. Which is why I was so quick to say Bryce Young, get him out of there. And Bryce Young is John Elway compared to Jake Haener. But Haener, he just didn't, physically he didn't match up. And then the rebuttal is always, well, he went to Fresno State, well, he's undersized, well, he's an underdog, well, he's got a chip on his shoulder, well, he's, this or he's that. All these things that they're just buzzwords. And you can have all the buzzwords in the world, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to physically do the thing at the high level. When Rattler throws the ball, when Rattler is moving around, when Rattler's in the pocket, physically he's there. Will it all add up to where he's a really good quarterback? I don't know about that, but physically he's leaps and bounds better than Jake Haener, which we knew. You do not win the Elite 11 camp. You do not become the number one prospect. You do not go to Oklahoma and you're the odds-on favorite to win the Heisman under Lincoln Riley unless you can do that kind of stuff physically. So we knew that with Rattler coming in. All right, let's go. Let's do Austin Jacobs 2-pack, and then we're going to get CJ in there.
Hey, James.
Oh, wait. Did I finish? I didn't finish the call. Hold on a second. I didn't finish the call, right? I went on my tangent, but I didn't finish Divine Eternity's call, did I? Yeah, that's right.
Okay, James.
I got 58 seconds.
Trash, so
here we go.
That's all I have on that. But my question is, how do you define the Saints season at this point? It's been weird, man. We're not getting blown out by good teams. We're in these games all the way down to the last second. as a Saints fan, like, what's our excuse? Injuries, Dennis Allen, because all the way down to the last second, we've been in these games, and for some divine universal reason, we just can't pull it out. Like, what's the answer to that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is Dennis Allen. A lot of it is the roster. A lot of it's injuries. I mean, this has been one of the craziest seasons I can remember in sports. Just watching, just watching like how this is going and what's happened. When you're down to like your fifth and sixth string offensive lineman, when you are down to your third string quarterback, when you're down to your backup quarterback, when you're down to your backup running back, when you're down to your fifth string, sixth string wide receivers, when you have to sign wide receivers, like firing your coach, there's just so much that's happened. So at times, yeah, it's probably Allen, some of the late game management and whatnot. At other times, it's just the roster and tough situations. So it's been a crazy season for sure. But yeah, I mean, you hate to say a lost season, you hate to say that kind of stuff, but it does kind of feel like that. Overall, just a lost season.
Hey James, I got another question, man. And I've been thinking about this a lot this week after the game. What if the Saints somehow go into Green Bay and say we win it, but it's kind of like the Washington game?
Wait, did I already listen to this one? I think I listened to this one.
That'd be a good sign to basically to keep Clint Kubiak and
Yeah, so this is okay. I'm getting lost in the sauce going
but he
all
wins
over the
Green
place.
Bay.
So this is the question: if we go into Green Bay and win, do you give Rizzy the job? We answered that one earlier. Yeah. Okay. All right. Where am I at here? Let's go. Let's do a couple Austins, and then we'll get back up here. We'll do CJ. All right. Oh, wait, we got Elijah too. Okay. Let's. I'm everywhere.
Hey James, Austin again. I got a question for you. Honestly, like us going from Dennis Allen to Darren Rizzy, I think it's a huge upgrade from what we have.
Yeah,
I
for
may
sure.
be just blind because I love the team. I'm a diehard. Do you have the same feeling that the players are actually trying to play hard for Darren Rizzy to get them to win, to basically get wins, but also get him the job? Like, I kind of see it, especially when Rattler that fourth quarter. Like,
I don't think Rattler, like when Rattler's on that drive, I don't think he's thinking about Rizzy's career at all. I think Rattler's thinking about his career. He's an athlete in a competitive moment. I think he wants to win. I think he wants to do the best that he can do. I don't think. I had a question either last week or the week before. Like, are the players playing hard under Mickey Loomis? And my answer to that was like, the last thing that Alvin Kamara is thinking about when he gets a handoff and he's running to he's running to the line, the last thing he's thinking about is Mickey Loomis. Like, fans think about that kind of stuff. I don't think players really think about that kind of stuff. I think the players like Rizzy, but I don't think that play in, play out, they're like, we got to do this for Rizzy's job security.
I think that was probably one of the best fourth quarters we've seen from the team this season, besides the first 2 weeks, which, obviously injuries played a huge part. Every team has injuries, but I just feel like, the team is actually playing hard, but I could be blinded. Do you think Darren Rizzy could be the guy let's say we go into Green Bay and we had the same outcome, but the offense, we start Rattler and we look good, but we only lose by a point, kind of like, the Washington game. But Rattler shows an improvement from, his errors he made and stuff like that, and the offense is improving, and so is the defense. Does that help his case, or is it still it's mandatory, he has to win these games no matter what, or else he's not going to be it?
Yeah, I think a good question would be, what do you do if Rattler looks bad? Right? Because everyone, and this kind of shows just like how fans think, is like, okay, if Rattler does really good and we win, then is he the future? Well, the other question you have to answer is, what if you go up there and Rattler's horrific? What if you go up there and he's 5 for 15 for 26 yards and 2 interceptions, and we're losing 28-0? Because Jake Haener ain't it. But in that situation, you probably got to go to Haener. So then, is Rattler not it? Like, those questions don't get asked. It's easy to ask, okay, well, is he the future? Is he the franchise? But would you be willing to chalk it up to, hey, rough start, hey, at Green Bay, tough spot, still develop him? Or would you say, like, maybe he's still a year away from being a year away, and then you got to address the quarterback position moving forward?
Hey, James, it's Austin again, man. I don't know what it is, but I'm kind of like, after watching your video, honestly, after that game, the Washington game, I really feel like Jake Haener just needs to I wouldn't even trust him holding the ball, in practice to actually be a ball guy. Like, I think he just needs to retire, go and sell insurance or sell cars or something. Like, he has a salesman's look. Like, dude could do something else. Like, I don't even think he'd be a fourth string for the practice squad. I don't know why people are coat riding him. Yes, Rattler isn't better, but I have more faith in Rattler in the long term. Like, obviously he has his mistakes, he has his errors. Just like Caleb Williams when he started out playing. Like, Caleb Williams still isn't, Jaden Daniels, performance. Like, he still has his errors, but yes, Caleb Williams has gotten better. But, like, do you really what, like, I just don't understand with the teams. Like, how can you have Jake Haener for 2 years and think this man could go into to a team like Washington that has been very competitive this year and think he's going to win it for you? Like, yes, us fans aren't there every day, but you got to tell me Mickey Loomis couldn't see that, or, Rizzy or QB.
I mean, it is different, but what is crazier? Like, watching Jake Haener and Spencer Rattler every day and then deciding to go with Haener, or evaluating Patrick Mahomes versus Mitchell Trubisky and deciding that Mitchell Trubisky is who you want to go with? Like, evaluating is hard, and there is absolutely something to, like, you just kind of don't know until you know. Like, you just don't know how a player will respond to an environment or a situation, or the bright lights, or travel, or being the leader of a locker room, or moving to a different city. Like, there's so many variables. There's so many variables where you just can't account for it. And that's why the draft is kind of you just kind of throw a dart. But, sports are like that, where if Drew Bledsoe doesn't roll his ankle, Tom Brady never plays. And the Patriots are with them every day. Bill Belichick, whoever. And they didn't know Tom Brady was better. They were rolling with Bledsoe until Bledsoe got hurt. So it happens. I mean, the Falcons drafted Brett Favre. Traded him, right? So, and Favre wasn't starting in Green Bay. Took the Magic Man. The Magic Man had to get hurt or whatever happened with him for Favre to get in there. And, so you just never know. You never know. And I guess you kind of got to see it. And same with Haener, where there was a lot of that, like, well, he's good in practice. He's okay. Like, he's got to get his shot. You never know. And then you put him in there and you see, like, okay, the lights were too bright and the moment was too big for him and too fast for him. And now you kind of have an understanding of who he is and what he is as a player. All right, let's go to CJ right here.
Man, it's so funny to see, like, this whole cap situation unfold, as far as just, like, with fans and, the whole Derek Carr situation on him might not playing, and he has, like, an injury guarantee money.
Yeah.
But it's so funny seeing fans get so invested into it when it's probably nothing to worry about, because people are just saying, like, oh, this is the worst contract. This is terrible. Why would they do that? Mickey's a terrible GM. And I'm like, first off, Jacksonville and Browns probably got the worst contracts ever as far as QB wise.
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville has a horrible contract. Cleveland has probably the worst contract ever in the Deshaun Watson contract. When you factor in, they also had to trade for him. But what about Atlanta? Like, Atlanta gives Kirk Cousins $180 million, $150 million guaranteed. He's making $40 million a year, and they bench him. Like, Carr's hurt. That's one thing. But to bench your $180 million quarterback, then you're going to eat whatever it is, $40 million of dead money. Like, it's just brutal. But it goes to show you, like, these contracts and all that stuff does not matter. Like the salary cap, it is what it is. A team has never ever been. They've never showed up to the stadium and someone said, "Hey man, bad news. You got an outstanding salary cap bill. You can't play." They find a way. They restructure. They move stuff around. We see that all the time.
Terrible fucking contract. Would hate to be them. Second of all, Mickey and the front office are the same people that get out of the cap every year. We have the same.
I mean, the Broncos traded for, paid Russell Wilson, whatever his insane contract was with Denver. And 2 years later, he's gone? And the Broncos are cool? Like, you never hear about the Russell Wilson contract. You never hear about where it's taking hits or where it's dead cap or what's, it just goes and it just does what it does.
Conversation. Oh, how are they going to get out of the cap? I don't know how they're going to do it. And then people will be like, oh my gosh, how did they do that? Oh my God, it's so exciting. It's just kind of like, I don't know. To me, it doesn't really mean much. It's not really anything because it's like, it's the same thing every year. They always find a way. And I doubt that Mickey in the front office, I doubt they would give Carr that contract if they didn't know how to get out of it. Financially wise. Like, financial wise, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't give him the contract if they didn't know how to get out of it. Like, that just remotely wouldn't make sense at all. And I don't know. Like, yeah, Mickey could be questionable, sure, but I just don't think he's just that bad of a GM to not know how to get out of that contract.
Yeah, there's always ways to get out of the contracts. There's always ways to restructure stuff. There's always ways to, like I said, cap and draft picks are like the two main things that get way overblown. Way, way, way more than they probably should.
Hey, James. My question of this one, I'm going to try to make it short and simple. Like, after watching that Washington's game, would it be smart for the Saints to take the first pick they have in the draft on the Boise State running back, Ashton Jensen, and use him like with the group they have to add more weapons on the offense? Like, after seeing Kendre, yes, he looked good, but this is like only one game that he really showed a lot of flashes. Yes, he could be great. There is a shot. Like, obviously, every player could be great. They could develop, be excellent. But with Kamara getting up there in age, like, honestly, drafting him, I think, honestly, could do New Orleans like better long term and short term. Like, obviously, you're gonna give a lot of carries to Alvin, but like, you can run packages with him, with Kamara, and use him and Kendre to open up a lot of the run game. I think short term, like next year, we're going to next year, we got him. You could that if we have Kubiak, if we have him, because mathematically, it's a 50-50 shot at this point. You have a better chance of probably winning the lottery over this. But I think it would help Kubiak's offense so much having a guy like him, or the wide receiver from Ohio State that I've been hearing around in the draft that the Saints could be looking at. Like, I wouldn't mind either or, but I just think Ashton.
I think with Ashton Jeanty, it's the same thing we talked about earlier where, like, you got to rank your players. If you think Ashton Jeanty is a Pro Bowl level running back and you think he is the Jahmyr Gibbs of this draft, then draft him. And whatever. Just stock the roster with good players. And yeah, if you have to run like some kind of weird 2 running back system, kind of like the Lions did with Montgomery and Gibbs, do it. Like, you're never going to be punished for having too many good players. Now, do I think they should go into the draft with the mindset of we're drafting Ashton Jeanty here no matter what? No. But if you grade him out that high and he's there, and sure, whatever. Like, go with the best player. That's how I would do it. So that'd be a controversial yet brave selection, but it wouldn't be crazy. Speak pipe. What are we doing? Speak pipe, not like this. I'm going to forget which one it is. I'm going to forget. Wait, we're back.
Hey, James. This other question I have, honestly, like, I know the draft, we have to hit on the draft. Like, it'd be awesome to hit on 6 players in the draft. Like, chances of that from the past draft, very unlikely. We could miss on a lot. If the Saints hit on 3 to 4 players, is that a successful draft?
Hell
of
yeah.
Impactful players that are coming in,
yes,
starting.
3 is crazy. 4 is
actually,
nuts.
Being kind of like
2
Kool-Aid,
is successful.
Like, you see some flashes, but like he still has those mistakes. But like you see a lot more a lot more growth out of them. Like they're coming in and making impactful plays, but yes, they may give up some bad plays. Like, would that be a success if they drafted 3 to 4 guys that are impactful, like a Brock Bauer?
4 would be the best draft of all time. You draft 4 players who come in and they're impactful starters. That is nuts.
Or Ashton Jensen, guys like him in the late rounds, or just getting
I mean, Ashton Genty is going like 10th overall. He's not in the late rounds. Like Ashton Genty is a top 12, top 10
wide out to help out the room, because obviously, when you lose Olave and Rashid Shaheed, that's detrimental to the team. Like when you have MVS as your number one, what are you doing? Like it hurts the team a lot. Like having be hit on guys like that to come in that may not be the starter at wide out, but we can run packages with them to help fill in the roles as a third slot guy or a third guy as a backup that can come in with Olave and Rashid. Maybe a better tight end.
We need it all. All right, let's go to Elijah. Yeah, let's go to Elijah.
Hey, James. This might be a couple part message here.
All right.
My name is Elijah. I'm one of your fans from Missouri.
Okay, there you go.
Yes, there are Saints fans in Missouri, the few, the
Very
proud.
Nice.
I'm a relatively new fan.
Okay.
I only started watching your channel around week 2 or 3 of the season.
Welcome.
But I like what I see so far.
Yeah.
I love
level.
that you make videos every day. I try to watch all of them. I don't
2
always
a day.
have time. Anyways, just getting off of work. It's
2 a day.
1 in the morning.
Woo.
Anyways, my thoughts on the Saints-Commanders game. It was amazing to watch. I had a lot of fun. The second half, watching the comeback. Love the decision to go for 2 and win the game. I hated the first half. Whoever it was that previewed or reviewed Jake Haener's film and said this guy can start. Yeah. I don't know who it is in the Saints organization that said that, but fire them immediately. They clearly know nothing about football, nothing about quarterbacks. Why he got the nod for start, the world may never know, but whoever decided that needs to get fired. Whoever gave Rizzy that report clearly is a moron. Anyways,
it is kind of funny because like in sports you kind of get that like grace, but like imagine like you have a banker or something, or like a financial advisor, and they're like, hey, buy this stock. This stock's gonna be sweet. This stock has everything we need. And then you buy it and the stock goes to 0. And it's like, hey brother, what the hell? Like that guy would probably be fired. Right? Like that doesn't happen in any other profession, but in sports you can do that and then just kind of say like, oops. So yeah, that is unfortunate, but I do agree. Like it's the same with the draft. Like if you draft at the Saints draft or whatever it was, like 5 defensive linemen who were 5 straight busts. Okay, whoever is putting together the draft reports, we're gonna have to go back to the drawing board. Like we're gonna have to go back and figure out where we're messing this up.
Hi, Elijah again. This is part 2 of my message.
The sequel.
I love what I saw out of Rattler. Obviously, this performance doesn't mean a whole lot in terms of if they're going to bring in a new head coach next year, he's probably done for anyways. But
probably, yeah.
But I like what I saw as a fan. I want to see him do better. I want to see him win games. I want to see them win games down the stretch.
And let me make this clear about that because I've said that quite a few times, and I agree. But it doesn't mean they're going to cut him. Like if a new coach comes in, more than likely they'll draft their guy or sign their guy or trade for their guy. But Rattler will still have opportunities. He'll still be on the roster. You're not going to get rid of a rookie contract. He's still going to be competing. So certain players, like they're good enough to they kind of force the coach's hand, regardless if they want them there or not.
I know they've got a game with the Packers coming up. That one's going to be tough. But I would love to see them win games. I don't give a shit about our draft pick.
There you go. That's right, Elijah.
But I'm a fan. I want to see him win games.
Yes,
I love what I saw at the end. I'm hoping for this offense to do great things going forward. I trust in Spencer. I hope he does a good job, and I hope you do a great job. I know you'll do a great job continuing to make content. Love your content. All love from Missouri. Peace out, brother.
Much appreciated, my man. Have a happy holidays up there. I'm sure it's freezing ass in Missouri. But, I appreciate you supporting the channel, watching the channel. Thank you very, very much. All right, let's do a couple of Chris Swansons.
Hey, James, this is Chris with a three-peat for you, my guy.
The triple threat.
This is about the Saints. The Chiefs are the worst 12-1 team I have ever seen in my life. And
Fugazi.
That was just ridiculous. Patty Mahomes gets injured, and they still win by 2 touchdowns with Carson Wentz. Ridiculous. Would they ever lose again? This is black magic, Taylor Swift magic. They have obviously sold their souls or something. This is ridiculous. But the Bills are good, really good. They just beat the Lions, but that was a shootout.
Hell of a game, yeah.
It was what it was, but the Lions are still my Super Bowl champion. Buffalo.
Lion, I have a 12-1 ticket on the Lions, so I hope they do win, but their injuries just starting to stockpile. I think Buffalo is clearly the best team in the AFC. I think NFC-wise, you're looking at Philadelphia and Detroit, and I think those 3 teams are far and away the best 3 teams in the NFL.
I'm rooting for them to win the AFC. I really wanted to see Cincy sneak in there, but I don't think that's happening.
Yeah.
But
they still got a chance. They're in the hunt.
Bo Nix and Jay Daniels is competing for the Rookie of the Year.
Yep. Brock Bowers should be there.
But
Brock Bowers should be in the conversation.
As far as the Travis Hunter Heisman, I guess he deserved it. I would have given it to Gene T, but it is what it is. He did win Offensive and Defensive Player of the Year, so it is what it is. Congrats to Travis. I can't be mad at it. I do like.
Yep, we cashed a huge 20-1 ticket on Travis Hunter, the biggest cash of my life. So shout out Travis Hunter. But I'll
Travis Hunter. I do like Ashton Gene T, so either one deserved it. But I would have given it to Gene T, but it was a close race.
Yeah, I agree. I think they were both really good. I would have given it to Hunter. I think Hunter deserved it. I think it's very easy to watch Colorado if you're watching Colorado, you understand. But if you're not watching Colorado, you might not really realize how good Travis Hunter was offensively. Because, I heard a lot of people say, it's kind of a gimmick. It's brother, he was top 5 in every receiving category across the nation. He had 14 touchdowns, 100 receptions, 1,200 yards. That ain't a gimmick. He was their best wide receiver, and he did it the whole year. And I do agree. If it was a gimmick, then yeah. If he plays a couple of snaps here and there, but he's not actually that impactful offensively, yeah, who cares? But he was a top 3 wide receiver, no doubt about it. He was a top 3, top 4 cornerback, no doubt about it. And it's kind of like the Shohei Ohtani rule where if you're playing at that level, if you're a top 10 hitter and a top 10 pitcher, you probably should win the MVP every year. Because, you're breaking the algorithm. So same with Hunter, where Travis Hunter was absolutely a top 10 offensive player in the nation and a top 10 defensive player in the nation. Probably top 5 in both, but top 10, I think everyone can agree on that. If you are top 10 in both and you play the whole season, then yeah, I don't think Genty had a insane year, but it's one of those unicorn things where it just breaks the algorithm. What are you supposed to do,
Hey, James, this is your favorite commentator, Chris, and I'm back with you, my guy, the man, the myth, the legend, the best in New Orleans Saints media, baby. Let's
best
go.
In media in general.
And I've been gone for a while because of sinuses and illnesses. I've just been busy a lot. So here I am. Now the Rams game, not anything to write home about.
Pro tip this time of the year, ladies and gentlemen, bone broth, drink it every day. Turmeric, honey, lemon, cayenne pepper. Get that in your system every damn day. the absolute, you go bone broth, cayenne, turmeric, honey, apple cider vinegar, mix it all up, shoot it every morning. Does it taste good? No. Get rid of processed foods, no seed oils, no sugars, no synthetic, nothing. Eat whole foods, eat your fruits, stay away from the pesticide-laden, dirty dozen vegetables. You do all that, drink water, coffee, black coffee, obviously. Hit the hooch, make sure you're wetting your whistle with the, imbibing or whatever. You do all that, you're not going to get sick. I've never been sick a day in my life, okay? So if you're sick this time of the year, get involved with the bone broth. James, bone broth is gross. I don't like it. Okay, well, here's a pro tip for you. You like rice? Boil your rice in the bone broth instead of water. That should blow a lot of people's mind right there.
We played up to them. Like, we'd have beaten them, but it was inevitable. They were going to win. They had more talent on the field. And
the Rams, we were terrible.
Rizzy coached hard, though, but
yeah,
I mean, we knew who was going to win that game. But anyway, the Commanders game, I would like to talk about Jake Haener.
All right.
Jake Haener was talking all that shit in the press conference, talking about, well, I'm going to chuck it deep. Well, it's me versus the world. I'm going to show y'all what I have, and y'all can judge me after the game. We sure did judge you after the game.
Yeah.
And he also said, rookies don't know when to throw it away. Well, rookies also, don't go 4 for 10 for 49 yards, throw a pick, no touchdowns, get sacked 3 times. And it's just ridiculous. Like, this dude talked all that shit and then back it up. Just like you said in your other video, he needs to be an insurance agent. He needs to be out of the NFL. He is not an NFL player at all. And, yeah, that's what I have to say about Jake Haener in the Rams game. I'm going to come back for the Commanders game.
Yeah, Jake Haener did himself no favors with those 2 interviews.
Hey, James, this is Chris with a back-to-back for you. My guy, the man, the myth, the legend, the Hall of Famer in New Orleans Saints media, the GOAT. Let's get it. The Commanders game was kind of interesting. We were down 17-0. Jake Haener performed badly. We had Spencer Rattler who did good. He did solid for what he could. And I would love to see him play with Olave and Shaheed and them guys when healthy, when the whole roster's healthy. Let's see what Spencer Rattler has then. But 19-3, remember, 19-3 outscored in the second half. We outscored them. If we would have got that 2-point conversion, he would have been held as a hero.
Build a statue.
And Rizzy would have been held as a Dan Campbell. He would have been held in the same regard as Dan Campbell. He is aggressive like Campbell. And I really hope he can be the new franchise head coach. I really hope he can. But anyway, that Alvin Kamara catch was sick.
What a catch,
Sports Center top 10-esque play. That was ridiculous. But overall, we know we're not making the playoffs, but we can still evaluate our roster, see what we have, and I think we have some solid pieces. If we could bring MVS back with them weapons, that'd be good. And Kendre Miller's overall performance was mid, but yeah, that's all I got to say about the Commanders game.
Yeah, if you go into the season with Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and MVS, it's a whole different looking wide receiver room, right? So, yeah, there are some pieces there. The team's playing hard, but we just got to get a little bit better. But I think there's some things trending in the right direction. All right, last 2 calls.
Hey, James, I got a question. With the game being over and everything, what team out of 2 would you say you're most shocked by? That Washington didn't come in and dominate like they should have?
That one.
And possibly blowing us out because of them being a playoff contending team.
I'll take that back.
Realistically, more so mathematically a playoff team. Maybe not a championship team. Or the fact that the Saints kept it so low by how the defense was playing. I see the stuff, everybody's saying the defense didn't play good. I think they played probably
defense
one of the
was
best
insane.
games they played in a very long time.
I agree. Might have been the best game of the season.
Especially Cam Jordan's old ass getting out there and getting a sack. Are you more shocked that Washington couldn't, put the nail in the coffin with Rattler coming in, and keep competing and keep going for what they're doing when they had Jake Haener in, or were you more shocked that as soon as Rattler came in, the team just played harder and elevated and kept it so close? Because I was kind of shocked because like me and my boss were talking about it, and I thought with Jake Haener start the whole game, it was gonna be like fucking blowout city, no score, no nothing
it would
for
have
the
been ugly.
Saints. Where it was going, like what I was thinking, but I was kind of shocked.
I would say I was most surprised at the defense. Like the defense played so good against the run, which we had not been playing good against the run at all. So the fact that we were that good for the entire game, I thought was the surprising part. That was the part that I was really shocked with.
Hey James, this is my last question.
Call.
I know I have a bunch on here. If you're Mickey Loomis and you're looking at just this season so far, going from DA to Rizzy,
yes.
Would you be okay after the Washington game, just going off of just up to the Washington game, would you be like, okay, we may have something here for Rizzy, even though he's not winning, he didn't win the game, but the way he's managing the game and the players are playing and trying to, like, I feel like they're playing for Rizzy, trying to get him the job. If you're Mickey Loomis, are you looking at, okay, we may actually have a guy in-house that could be the future of this team? Or do you, or in your mindset, are you thinking, you know what, we may have something, but it's very little. He has to win these games to change my mind about it. Like, where's your stand on Rizzy? Like, as GM perspective, you're Mickey Loomis. You're looking for the next head coach. Like, you're evaluating everything along with the players and stuff. What's going through your mind if you're in his spot with Rizzy and the team? Like, is it, you're seeing what you want to see possibly just with a bad roster, with a good head coach possibility, or you're seeing, okay, he may not be the guy, but for him to change my mind, he has to win out? Like, what is your mindset on that?
I think it's the same thing as evaluating players. How I talked about, there's like physical things you're looking for in a player. If they can't do the physical things, then it really doesn't matter. Same with coaches. Like, you want to look at the operational stuff. So how are the practices? How are the logistics? Is the team prepared? Is the team ready on game day? What's the game plan? All of that. Are they buttoned up? How many penalties do you have? Then you go into the end game decision making. Okay, are they getting this right? Are they getting the fourth downs right? Are they getting the 2-point conversions right? Are they getting the field goals right? Are they getting all that correct? And then after that, you kind of, you're not as results worried. I mean, obviously, like, you want to win, but I would really focus on those two elements. And if all those elements line up, then yeah, I mean, that would be the bulk of my evaluation. Obviously, you do have to win at a certain level, but I don't think it's like imperative that he wins every game if all the other stuff checks out. If all the other stuff doesn't check out, then yeah, I mean, you can't lose games and be ill prepared or whatever. But that's how I would evaluate him. That's how I would evaluate any coach moving forward. And then obviously, like with Rizzy, there would have to be a conversation of, okay, what is your vision for this team? Like, what is your vision moving forward? If you are the head coach, what are we going to try and do in the next couple of years? How do you see roster building? How do you see the culture? How do you see the identity? What is your vision for that at all? Because that the head coach has to have some kind of a forward-thinking plan when it comes to piloting the entire franchise. All right, well over an hour long video today. Thank you for all the calls. I do appreciate it. We had a ton of calls in there. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.